Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to Premier League predictions. Sophie, the Premier League is back for week 2.
Yeah, Premier League's back and so am I.
Ooh.
Go on, tell us the scores.
Yeah, I'm just fed up at this point, Sophie. You absolutely annihilated me. I've been absolutely ripped to pieces in these Premier League predictions. So there's the scores. Let's not talk about it much longer than we have to. Guys, before we get into the next set of Premier League predictions, please make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 3,000. It takes 2 seconds to hit that thumbs up button. So get involved. If you want to show your support to myself and the one that is actually good at predictions, Sophie, drop a like and make sure to subscribe so you see all of our videos. With that said, Sophie, let's get into the predictions, and we start with Brighton versus Manchester United. Brighton are top of the league. It was an incredible performance from Brighton away at Everton. They were just ruthless, and against a very poor Everton team, I must say.
Yeah.
So this is a good test because they're taking on Manchester United, who did win. They won the first Premier League game, winning 1-0 against Fulham. They left it late, but Joshua Zirkzee got the winner. And I think on the whole, it was probably merited. A really good test, this. They did play on the final day of last season when Man United won at Brighton, but it was different teams then. It was a different manager for Brighton. I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton win or Manchester United win. I'm going to go for a draw. Yeah, I'm going to go for a draw. I'm curious to see what you have to say because I would probably copy you. But I'm going to say 1-1. I think that would be a good result for Manchester United away from home because I'm actually making Brighton slight favourites. But so far this season, I'm being nice to the Man United fans for a change.
Yeah, that is a change. I was tempted to say a 2-2 draw just because I can see this being fairly evenly matched. Might lean towards Brighton as they're the home side. Go on, yeah, Brighton 2-1. I think they're just going to do it. Yeah. Share your thoughts, guys. I think Brighton have been really impressive, and I think this could be a year where they get back into the European places. Should be. They have spent some money there, to be fair.
Exactly.
So there is a bit of expectation.
I did have reservations about them spending that money, but to be fair to them, their players look amazing. Yeah. I know it's only one game, but they did look good.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to Crystal Palace versus West Ham United. It's a London derby, and what do you reckon? They both lost last week. They both lost 2-1, having come back from 1-0 to level and then lost 2-1 late on. I think West Ham had the slightly trickier task because they were playing Villa, but Palace were away at Brentford. I think this is going to be a close game. I don't know about you.
No, I agree. I'm going to sit on the fence for this one, I think, just because Palace, when they played against Brentford, I did expect them to get something. They didn't. At spells, they played well. And then I guess you could say the same with West Ham as well.
Given the money that West Ham have spent, and Lopetegui, it wasn't the best performance.
It wasn't convincing, was it?
But I do think they'll get better. Maybe that team needs to gel. But yeah, as we said, Palace, Glasner, I like him. Eze, I thought he played okay.
He did, and there was that goal where you think, oh, could that have stood?
Yeah, he scored the free kick, but wasn't allowed. I think this will be a low-scoring, close game, and I'm going to go for a winner. 1-0, Palace.
Oh, okay, I like it. I'm going for a 1-1. I don't think either team have started that well. I guess with West Ham you could kind of excuse it and say, oh, there is a few new players there and there's going to be that gelling period. So right now I'm saying fairly evenly matched. 1-1.
1-1, yeah. Okay, on to the next one, Soph. Let's go to Craven Cottage, where we have Fulham versus Leicester. Fulham, Sophie, on the Friday night, they lost to Manchester United. Nearly got something, but yeah, there you go. I know a few people have had reservations about Fulham this season because of players they've lost, like Palhinha. But I think they should still be okay. So. If they lose this game, though, that would be a disaster. They take on Leicester, Sophie, who did get up and running with a draw against Spurs on Monday, which is something, decent. They're getting a point. Will they follow it up here? Fulham have the home advantage. Steve Cooper might come and try and grind something out. I'm going to go for a draw.
Okay.
1-1.
I'm just going to edge Fulham on this one. I can see it being fairly evenly matched, but I think ultimately Fulham have slightly more quality, and being the home side, I'm just leaning towards them. So 1-0. 1-0 Fulham for me.
Yeah. Do you think Smith Rowe's going to come good for Fulham?
He should do, because when he was playing frequently for Arsenal, I thought, oh, he's a really good player. Him and Saka linked up really well. And now he's at Fulham, you think, okay, surely he's going to come good again. It just might take a few games.
Yeah, it might do. Okay, on to the next one, so let's go to the Etihad. It's Manchester City versus Ipswich. Let's start with Man City, Sophie. It's business as usual for them. A nice routine 2-0 win against Chelsea on the Sunday. I thought it was actually quite easy for them. I don't want to say easy, actually, but it was fairly routine.
Kind of was, but yeah.
It was a bit easy, actually.
Yeah.
They take on Ipswich, Sophie, and look, if you're an Ipswich fan, this is just, it's one of those where you call it a free hit. Liverpool at home last week was a decent curtain raiser. I thought Ipswich played quite well in the first half. They had 1 or 2 dangerous moments.
They did.
Couldn't quite capitalise on that, and in the Premier League, when you play the top teams, you've really got to take those chances.
If you just have one chance, you need to take it.
Exactly. In the second half, Liverpool did get the job done, but 2-0, it's not a disaster. I do expect Ipswich to lose this because they're playing the best team in the world, pretty much. But then after this, Ipswich play Fulham at home, and that is where I think they maybe start scoring points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a bonus point here, Sophie, because I'm going to go for 5+ goals. Man City 4, Ipswich 1.
Okay. I'll go for the same deficit. I'm going to say 3-0 to Man City. You'd see teams coming up and you think, okay, against Man City are just going to score goals. And equally, at times, Ipswich, they play some dangerous football by always playing out from the back. But they do it very well, in fairness to them. They did it well last season. Are they going to stick at it throughout the Prem? We saw Burnley try it and they got punished for it. But Ipswich have Jacob Greaves, who so far,
he's good.
He has been absolutely solid. So he could be really crucial in how they do throughout this league campaign. Ultimately, it's Man City, and if you give them just a slight chance, they're going to take it. And I think, it could be a quite convincing scoreline. So 3-0 Man City. For Ipswich, they just need to be really solid, and if they get any chances at all, be more clinical than they were against Liverpool.
Yeah. Ultimately, these are not going to be the games that define Ipswich's season. Even if they lose 5-0, they might stay up.
Yeah.
On to the next one, Sophie. This does feel like it could be a big game. Southampton take on Nottingham Forest. Now, Southampton started their season with a 1-0 defeat to 10-man Newcastle, and Forest picked up a 1-1 draw against Bournemouth, as you predicted. First thing I want to do is obviously say we need to wish Danilo a speedy recovery.
Yes.
That looked a nasty one.
That was a nasty one.
And it kind of killed the mood a little bit at the City ground. But then they did take the lead. Chris Wood, he always pops up with goals, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Thanks,
man. It's a difficult one for Forest out of Awoniyi and Chris Wood, because I quite like Awoniyi, but
I really like Awoniyi.
I feel like Wood's got a better conversion rate, don't you think?
He has, yeah. I think Awoniyi technically is a better player for me, but Chris Wood is a better goal scorer. That's how I'd separate the two. He
pops up with goals. So, big game here. If I'm being honest, I think both would be unhappy with the draw, because this is, on paper for Southampton, a game, if they're going to stay up, they'd need to try and get 3 points. And the same, obviously, for Forest. They've had Bournemouth and Southampton, and if they walk away from these 2 games not winning either of them, I think that's not a great start. So I think it'll be a close game, but there will be a winner, and I think it will come for Forest. They've just got the Premier...
I knew he was going to say it before you even said it.
They've got the Premier League quality here. Did you see how much possession Southampton had, by the way, against Newcastle? It was about 78%.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised by that at all.
No, I think they'll have a lot of possession against Forest, but I think Forest will take their chance 1-0.
I'm actually going the other way. I'm going to say 2-1 Southampton.
Oh.
I think it could be a late goal as well that gets Southampton the 3 points, which is very, very important, 3 points. I think, they're going to have a lot of the possession. They had some really good chances, but sometimes when you're playing against 10 men, everyone's thrown everything at it, so it can actually be harder to break a team down like that. So coming up against an 11-man Forest, I think they actually might get the win in this one. So 2-1 to the Saints.
If that happens, though, Forest would be in a bit of trouble, do you think?
It's 2 games in, isn't it? I mean, it isn't good, because you'd look at these results and think, they should be getting something from them. But again, you never know.
It's interesting though. At least we've disagreed on one.
Yeah.
I'm going for Forest. Sophie's going for Southampton. Share your thoughts. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Spurs take on Everton. As we said, Spurs only picking up a draw against Leicester on the Monday night. Not the best start, if we're being honest.
No.
And as for Everton, Sophie, I've highlighted how bad that result was against Brighton. Look, Brighton, brilliant, of course, but Everton, absolutely bloody hopeless.
Yeah.
They just look a mess on and off the pitch. No takeover. Sean Dyche's tactics, a lot of people say it's dinosaur and caveman tactics. I like him personally.
I like him as a man, but I wouldn't want him as my manager.
I think the thing I'd say is, if they're not going to have a change in ownership, you keep Dyche just to keep you above the bottom three. But if they had something above Dyche that was pumping lots of money in and you could start going a bit more adventurous, then you change him up. I think he's probably just good enough, but it's not great for a club Everton's size to think we're just going to survive. I think Tottenham will win 3-1.
I'm going to say 2-0 to Tottenham. I think there could be a few more goals, but I'm going to try and be kind to Everton here.
Oh, very generous 2-0, yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say 3-4, to be honest, because the way Everton play at times, you think they just want to concede. It's really odd.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think there might be times where they're okay going forwards. I think their attackers aren't clinical, and right now they're not really good enough. But then you can't see them spending loads of money on strikers. I think Tottenham, better team, they're going to get the win, 2-0.
Yeah, you'd think so. They've got to be favourites there. Share your thoughts if you're a Tottenham or an Everton fan on that second game there. Let's go to Villa Park, Sophie, for the best game of the week. Aston Villa versus Arsenal. It's Arsenal's old bogey team from last season.
It's Emery.
And this will be a great game. Emery versus Arteta, Villa v Arsenal, two massive clubs. Arsenal, what were they? 2 or 3 points off winning the Premier League last year. Yeah. They lost both games against Villa, so that was 6 points they dropped. So,
learn from it.
They need to win this game, or at least draw it, to learn their lesson and be able to challenge better this time round. But Villa are good, Sophie, and I predicted them to draw last week. I said 1-1, you said 2-1 Villa, and in the end, with the late goal from Duran, you were right. I don't know. I've backed Arsenal to win the league this year.
You've got to back Arsenal.
No. They're still going to win the league.
Go on.
But Villa are going to beat them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So draw.
Villa are going to beat Arsenal, but then Arsenal are going to bounce back and win the league. Aston Villa 2-1.
The fact that it's at Villa Park is making it really hard for me to back Arsenal. But I think I'm going to do it, I think Aston Villa are going to have a really good season, and we've seen that. They've got the grit to get it over the line. Even when they're not putting in their best performance, they get the 3 points, and for me, that's the sign of a good team. Coming up against Arsenal, who, of course, they're going to be challenging for the title. I don't know, this is really, really difficult to separate the two. Oh, okay, Arsenal 2-1. Oh. They're just going to do it. I was so tempted to say a draw, but I feel like that's being boring and being having a little bit of a cop-out. So, no. Arteta's men's going to do it.
What a good game that is.
Yeah.
It's a really good game for game week 2. And I am sorry to the Villa fans because I've backed you and Sophie's backed Arsenal, which does mean Arsenal are going to win, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so.
Right, on to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to AFC Bournemouth versus Newcastle. What's your thoughts?
Bournemouth, I think, okay. Obviously, they lost Solanke. And I feel like the season.
That showed against Forest. They didn't really have that creativity or that finisher. Fair play to Semenyo for getting the goal, but they do miss it. They do miss Solanke.
Yeah, I know they're linked with a couple of players. It's not been over the line yet. I think some are fairly close, but right now you think that was your star man last season and you sold him now. I know it's good money and I know that's their business model, but their season for me, like having another good season, kind of rested on him a little bit. But they're coming up against Newcastle, who at times last season they were very inconsistent, and they started this season not with a great performance against Southampton. They got the win and the 3 points. But in fairness to Newcastle, they did have a man sent off very early on. So, do you know what? I'm just going to edge Newcastle. I feel harsh going against Bournemouth. I'll let you do your score first, but I am leaning towards Newcastle.
I've already written down 1-0 Newcastle.
Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, we can go the same then, yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, I think looking at last week, Newcastle, real quality in terms of grit and experience to win against Southampton with the 10 men. And I think it could be a similar game in terms of Bournemouth will have their moments, but without Solanke, will they take them? And Newcastle, look, if you'd have offered them 2 wins for 2, even if it's just both 1-0s, they'd have taken it. So, yeah, 1-0 Newcastle, and I think they're going to be up and running for the season.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say 1-0. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended a draw. I think Bournemouth equally have the same amount of grit that Newcastle do to secure a draw. But yeah, as you said, I am just going to lean towards Newcastle.
Yeah, they could be really good this season if they can get that side of the game right, where they win when they're not even at their best, when they've got less possession and have to hang on.
Because sometimes their performances are unreal, and you just look at them and you think, wow, and then they follow up next week and you think, it was that team last week.
Yeah.
Very, very different. So they're consistent, they perform well, and they're exciting like they are a lot of the time. I know it's not likely to be 100% of the time such an exciting team, but if they can get that consistency down, they'll have a much better season than last season. Yeah,
that's very true. On to this one, Sophie. Let's go to Molineux. Wolves versus Chelsea. It was the Christmas Eve game last year, wasn't it? I'm going to go straight in for a 1-1.
Okay.
Both lost 2-0 to decent teams that are challenging for the title.
Yeah.
Wolves lost to Arsenal away. Chelsea lost to City at home. And I think they'll both get up and running with a draw. Chelsea might be the slight favourites, but Wolves have got the home advantage. And Chelsea, as we said, they weren't amazing against City. They might grow into the season. I'm going for a draw.
Chelsea are a very strange team at the moment. I watched some of their pre-season games and how they were playing it out from the back, and it wasn't working. And that's when you trial and think, okay, maybe we won't do that when it actually comes to the season. They've not learnt, and they did that against Man City, invited the pressure, invited the goals, and did themselves over, to be honest. So are they going to do the same against Wolves? You'd hope not, as a Chelsea fan. I'm going to back Wolves. I'm going to say 2-1 Wolves.
Yeah.
I think, at times, Wolves, they've got some really good players there. And if they can force Chelsea into a few mistakes, I think they're going to get the win.
God, what a terrible start that'd be for Chelsea.
That would be really bad, yeah.
Okay, on to the final game, Sophie. Let's go to Anfield. You'll never walk alone. It's Liverpool versus Brentford. It's Arne Slot's first home game, and I think he's going to get a good reception. The Liverpool fans will be pretty happy with what they saw at Ipswich. And do you know what? I still think it's going to be between Man City and Arsenal for the title, but I would love to see Liverpool competing.
Of course, yeah.
Even if they were just a few points behind those top two, if they're still in the race come February and March, that'd be great. It's a difficult game. Brentford showing their quality last week.
Yeah.
They don't need Tony. I'm being honest. With Visa and Mbeumo, they've still got enough goals. And I'm already starting to feel a bit silly for doubting Brentford. If they keep playing like that, they'll be fine. It was a good result against Palace. But this is Liverpool. And I think Liverpool will win, but Brentford will give them a good game. Liverpool 2, Brentford 1.
I'm going to say 3-1 Liverpool. Mo Salah, he loves an opening day game, don't get me wrong, but he could be in for a very good season again. I think it's between him and Haaland for Golden Boot. I think he could be the key man here. I love Diogo Jota as well. I think he is just an amazing player. So I think there could be a few goals in this one. I feel a little bit harsh after Brentford's because I didn't back them against Crystal Palace. They proved me wrong. They got a 2-1 win. So could they come here and get something? They actually do have some good quality there. So they could get a draw for me. But I can't go against Liverpool. First home game of the season. The atmosphere is going to be on fire. Arne Slot's going to take up to a 3-1 win.
3-1, yeah. Either way, a win's a win, but that'd be great. And that wraps it up, guys. Do share your thoughts down below. Let me know your predictions in the comments. Get them down below now. Make sure to drop a like. We're going for 3,000. It takes 2 seconds, so like and subscribe. Please help us out as we push for 73,000 next. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.